Now, what can you say more about Europe? And I have some things I want to say about Europe. And I know I make a video yesterday, but I make another one today because I think I missed a few things that I don't think I talk about it. But now, let's talk about Europeans. And this is the Europeans population today. 745 million people, which is insane. The growing rate is going down now, and also the early growing rate in percentage all over the place and going down. Now, the population here in the east is the biggest one. Then you have the Western Europeans one, and then you have the Southern Europeans, and the Northern Europeans. The most, let's call it, the most weirdos. Now, back in 1955, you have 575 million people on the old continent. And if you don't know where Europe it is, it's exactly right here. And Europe used to be the center of the goddamn world. But now, not so much. Except if somebody got disrespectful or offended, that's going to be the center of the world also. Now, 1955, like I say, 575 million people with a growing rate annually of under 1%. And back then, you have a net change of people on plus side at 5.3 million. And migration was a minus because back then, Europeans still, after the World War II, they want to leave. So we're going to see what's happened after World War III. Median age, 28 years old, fertility rate 2.6, and also European share of the population 23.1 back then. Let's go to today, 2025, 744 million. So already see an increase in population, but the early changing is on minus. And that's happening from pandemic, let's say from 2021, and the first one that we hit. So I have another one in 2000, but I think some other things there. But the first one was almost a million people lost in Europe in the pandemic here. And now it feels like they're going up, and then by 2024 it's going to be down, but nobody believes that. But in the future, they're going to go down, and down. But migration is going up, and up. Except in 2040, 2035, when you're going to see some changes, I believe. But also, we have to keep in mind there is a war that is coming. So those migration numbers, like I said, they might need new people, young ones from the Africa. So they kind of, let's say, how can I put this nicely? They use them for the war. Now, back to the Europeans. In 2050, I'm going to say the data is going to be pretty much not exactly reliable. I believe the population of Europeans is still going much fast down than they actually projected and actually give those numbers, but probably the European population is already down. But by 2050, the population definitely is going to be under 700 million people. Probably it's going to be around like 600 million people around that. And by the end of the century, it's going to be down. It's going to be much downer than 500 million people. So we're going to see the lowest as, let's say, reliable data recording or stuff like that. But fertility rate is going down. This up one, it might be from the migrants, but I don't believe that's going to happen either because, like I say, there is a war that's coming. So it's going to have some toll on the fertility rate too. And also the median age is going up, so that's going to affect it too. Urbanization always affects the fertility rate. So now we are at 75% urban area, but by 2050 it's going to be around 85%. So we're going to see a huge increase. And it's not like European, it's a small continent. They still have a lot of place for people to live outside the cities, but also in these 745 million people, they include Russia too. So that is going to take a toll on the population exactly, especially in the West and the European Union, but that's another discussion. But for what we have right now here, I'm going to say for the Europeans in the future, there's not much they can actually hope for, as I'm saying that as a European. And probably again, like I say, especially with the population replacement for the Africa and from the, let's say, Middle East, from the Asia, with the war coming from the East, and with all the nonsense of the legislation, bureaucracy, and anything worse that could happen in Europe, as always. a lot of Europeans gonna look at the only country that can actually start living for the rest of their life, remaining of the what remain from their life. It's not gonna be that much remaining, but the only let's say hope for the Europeans, I would say, it is the United States of America. If let's say somehow they have some change in policy and they're gonna let more Europeans to come, but who knows. But from the Europeans, I think the next frontier from them it's United States, and probably they're gonna go there and populate I would say the main city on the coast, but also a lot of them I think they're gonna start moving inside the country in the country areas, and that is gonna be a much better life than Europe. And I still believe like European Union is not gonna survive by 2050. The war everybody seeing that is coming, and also the population collapses started already, so we are already halfway there. Now, European used to be a nice continent to live. Even today, it still is one of the best one. Like I say, the Western world with the United States. They only, and also some Australia. Like I say, I put that too for now. But European Union is not a bad system. The only bad thing that happened to European Union is the European Union leaders. That the one that destroyed the European one. The European Union used to be a very nice, and still it is in some much of a part, a great alliance. But because of those few people that serve their interest and not the Europeans ones, let's say, they pretty much destroy it. So nothing against the European Union, but the European leaders, they have to change, and they have to leave the power, let's say, give up the power, which they're not gonna do, to let someone else to take it out of this mess. But we're gonna see. But yeah, for Europe, I have to say, it doesn't matter what policy they make, doesn't matter how things they say is gonna change, and even in some cases they're gonna look, they're gonna start changing in a good way. I do not think that European can avoid the war. I do not think they can avoid the population collapse, which already happened, and also collapse end of the European Union, because human as always serve their interests before someone else, and it doesn't matter if someone built something nice, and for the future, if down the line someone came and just pretty much destroyed. That's the story of the recent Europe, I would say. Summarize it very quickly. Not much to hope for it. I see a lot of videos that I make in the comments that people say, oh, we're living much better now. Oh yeah, I believe you're living much better. You might have clean water, you might have clean food, you might have a job. You might not have, because I'm looking for one and I couldn't find this one, so probably I'm not gonna find the one pretty soon. But if you counted that in that way, then yeah, I believe in my life it got better, but overall it got less how do I say this, less doesn't have a meaning. It's so meaningful right now for the Europeans. Every single tiny thing that's happened, let's say in the energy market, you're gonna feel in your bill immediately. They always kind of made up some new rules to just pretty much fine you, to take your money, to just pretty much keep you in the house. Not pretty much they hate you here, especially if you're a young one. They pretty much hate the guts of you. And not to mention the dating market, it's also very well here. It's just such a well dating market. I have no idea how this fertility rate stays so up even from today. Probably, like I say, those information is not exactly accurate. It's much lower than that. Trust me. Now, like I say, for the European Union, European doesn't have much future, but for the Europeans, the only future that I can see by the end of the century, not by the middle of the century, but by the end of the century, a lot of them, I think, they're gonna choose to move to the United States and find a new home there. I already see some people from the England make that step, but England is pretty much far gone so far, so we don't have much hope for the England too. But for the rest of the continent, yeah, I think they're gonna replace the population. They're gonna get pretty much, especially the half of the way from this line right here. Anything east from this line is gonna pretty much be a battlefield, even the north here. And for those who remain, I would say just after the war ended, they're gonna pretty much look at the United States, and that's it. And that's the European people with their land.